Hi guys, hope you're having a great evening. This is Sheila and Fred from Hatfield, McCoy Museum and Adventures and FS Investigates.
Hey guys, thanks for joining us once again. Sheila's got a update on the Doug Harless case.
Right.
Evidently, Lee Searcy at Channel 18 had gone to a city council meeting, or they had, looks like they may have had several meetings in London yesterday or today. So play the video and let's see what we get.
Okay. Here we go.
Good evening, I'm Megan Mannering.
And I'm Larry Smith. Questions continue to swirl around the deadly London police shooting 2 days before Christmas, where officers were at the house. And why did Doug Harless have to die?
LEX 18's Lee Searcy went to Laurel County today as 3 special called city council meetings were held. She asked London's mayor about the progress in the highly controversial case. It's tonight's big story at 6.
LEX 18 was there when a special meeting of the London City Council was called to order. But as soon as it started,
executive session, we're going to ask all the public to exit the room.
Mayor and council met in private to discuss possible litigation regarding the London Police Department. Afterwards,
I don't want to discuss anything regarding the investigation.
The mayor wouldn't say if the closed-door discussions involved the deadly police shooting of Doug Harless, a man authorities say was shot to death in his own home when London police tried to serve a search warrant. Court documents and dispatch recordings confirm officers served that warrant at the wrong house. But I did ask the mayor if the city would stand by whatever state police deem the facts to be when their investigation is complete.
You know, whatever comes out of KSP and, you know, if it goes to the grand jury and that's what they all decide, we will make the decisions based upon that. And if people, I've said from the beginning, if people need to be held accountable, we will do so.
We still have so many questions about how police ended up at the wrong home. As you can see, Doug Harless's home is a double wide, and 489 Van Sant Road is a single wide. At this point, we don't know what led to the mix-up. When you look up 489 Van Zant on the Laurel County PVA website, it shows the home physically marked 511, Doug Harless's home. Surveillance video of the incident shows London police arriving at Harless's home just before midnight the night of December 23rd. According to court records, they knocked on the door announcing themselves and made entry through the front door and found Harless armed with a gun. That's when the affidavit states an officer fired multiple rounds, fatally hitting Harless, a man who a background check shows only had a minor traffic offense on his record. In Laurel County, Lee Searcy, LEX 18.
LEX 18, thank you, LEX and Lee Searcy. Her and 27 and 56, all these guys. I'll say it again. If you want to know some good detectives and investigators, look at your reporters.
Right.
For your Lexington television stations, the Lexington Herald Leader, Louisville Carrier Journal, great newspapers, great investigators, great detectives. Those people, and they don't give up. Too bad our law enforcement don't do that anymore. Once did. Sheila, what you got before
Well, I don't know. They're just saying it shows on the PVAs that it's his house is 489.
Well,
but where does his packages come to?
Yeah, I don't know what's happening
The
there.
electric bill that comes to him.
Well, look at the numbers on the outside the house.
Yeah.
You would think that, again, we haven't seen the affidavit, and I don't think we're going to get to see it. I think they're...
What about his driver's license? What they say?
That's a good question.
I think somebody asked us that, which was a good question. Just hit me, but that's something that should be.
Guys, you know, I think this case will be going to the grand jury. I don't think you'll hear about it until the grand jury's done had it. Probably going to return a no true bill. I'll tell you, I got a lot of faith in this. Don't know him from Adam. Never met him, but this Jackie Steele, the Commonwealth attorney there in London, if I'm not mistaken, I think that's the one they've appointed a special prosecutor up in Letcher County for the Sheriff Steins and Judge Mullins case.
Okay.
And he has really, but all of them, the Bartleys and him has impressed upon me, well-educated, very knowledgeable attorneys. I'm hoping he's a true blue. I'm hoping he's after the truth, and that this grand jury gets to hear everything. Guys, there's going to be 12 of you from Laurel County on that grand jury.
Yeah.
There's going to be 12 of them. And, I've been on grand juries, and I've appeared before many grand juries as a police officer to indict people. And, there's an old saying, you can indict a bologna sandwich.
Okay.
But you can also go in there with evidence. But if a prosecutor says, after the witnesses gets done, that we don't think there's enough proof here to prosecute this case, and we're going to ask you not to return an indictment on them.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't mean you have to not return an indictment if you feel. I'm not here as a legal professor, guys. I'm not here as, I don't know. I'm giving you my opinion.
Right.
Giving you my opinion to you people, 12 of you that's going to be on a grand jury, because I think that's how it's going to go. I don't think there's ever going to be a press conference where it's going to say, well, we've done this, we've done that, here's what we come. I think they're going to present it to a grand jury, and then they're going to come back to the newspaper and the media, and they're going to say, this happened or that happened. Now, I don't know the case. I know that the state police are investigating it, and I don't particularly trust the state police. You've got a state trooper out of the London Post that's come out with a book and retired now, and says 36 years ago there was a suicide that was labeled a homicide. I think it's a homicide we think it's a homicide that was never solved. It's still locked away in a case. Why is that? So just because we wear uniforms, carry badges, guys, dignity and honor and character is something that's instilled into you. You don't get that by putting on a uniform or pinning on a badge. You don't all of a sudden become an honest person by putting on a uniform. You guys on that grand jury have the right to ask questions. You have the right to look through the evidence. You've seen enough CSI. You've seen enough television. You've seen enough stuff in the newspapers, on the news, to ask questions. That is your chance. You're going to be. You won't be speaking for me. I'm not from London, but I am from Kentucky. We are.
Mm-hmm.
So you're speaking for us, and you're especially speaking for your people there in London and Laurel County, to be able to ask some of these questions. Why was the affidavit removed from the courthouse? Why was that not made public? What would that have really have interfered with anything the next day to let people see the address, to let people see the affidavit? It's been a month later. You can't give it out now. If you give it out a month later, then they say, oh, it's been changed. So now you got to act like, well, we presented it to the grand jury. We wanted everything presented at one time.
So the grand jury will get to see the affidavit.
The grand jury will see the entire case. They're going to get a look at whatever the state police present to them, one way or the other, which way they favor, which way they think the investigation should go or went, or whether anybody should be charged, whether anybody was negligent. Guys, if these people went to the wrong house, somebody was negligent. Ever who did that search warrant, ever who did that investigation is negligent. Ever who sent these guys in there without at least one body cam so we could see if Mr. Harless had a gun pointed at police officers. We'll never know that story because dead men don't talk. Mr. Harless isn't talking.
Did they ever find the weed eater on Mr. Harless's property?
We don't know. That's a good question.
Was it ever produced or said that it was
It
returned?
really doesn't
recovered?
matter, but that's a good question.
I mean,
The big question is whether Mr. Harless really had a gun pointed at any of these officers? And if he did, why only one shot? If all of them felt threatened, why did only one? There was several at the door, but nobody else felt threatened. Only one officer felt threatened, and a man's pointing a gun at you. The rest of them, wow, they must need a wheelbarrow to. I don't know, guys. I'm very. It's going to be an interesting. And again, we love London. We go through London all the time to go to Pike County. We always stop in London to shop or eat. London's a beautiful community, beautiful town. And I just hope all this, it looks more and more like it's going to be going to the grand jury before anybody hears anything. So that way when it comes out, it's said and done.
And there's nothing can be done.
Huh?
Then there's nothing can be done.
The grand jury has spoken. Well, they can, if there's no true bill, you can present it again to the grand jury as new evidence comes up, so forth like that. But something's wrong here. Somebody was negligent. I don't care if I think everybody's always going to think something's up with the PVA. You got two different addresses there, and now all of a sudden after this took place, it makes you distrust. It makes you look at people real funny. And it may be nothing more than coincidence. I'm like you. What's on his driver's license? What's on his electric bill? What's on?
Yeah.
And PVA can say whatever they want. That's one office in 911. But you know, what's this man's address been for all these years? That
All of his mail that he gets. So does he own that, or does he rent that?
I don't
by
know.
the way?
But once again, Sheila, you're looking at a double wide or a 24 by 50 wood frame structure versus a single wide. I mean, it can't get no. It's black and white. It can't get no easier to look at. Were they going to raid a single wide? Were they? What is on that description of that?
Exactly.
What was on that description on that affidavit for a search warrant?
Yeah.
Back on what day he passed away on now? I don't even.
December 23rd?
23rd one.
It was before Christmas,
Eve.
yeah.
Christmas Eve. Yeah. Thank you, babe. Good memory.
You're welcome. I'm trying to think of what else that could prove a point of that's his
What's going to
valid
prove the
address.
point is those 12 people and Mr. Steele, if I'm correct on the Commonwealth Attorney's name there, and how well and how he wants the truth to come out. Because I'm going to tell you something about the truth, people. It's just like this case with Mr. Doug Asher, post commander of Post 11, when Johnny Edrington was killed. And he stayed silent for 35 years until he retired, drew retirement, didn't rock the boat, and he calls a homicide a suicide. No matter which way it went. I used to call it a suicide. Now, after Sheila and I have been researching that, talking to people, and people's talking to us that was there to talk to the state police then, and not one trooper, not one investigator, detective, went and talked to these people that saw a vehicle pulling out. See if that's in that report. See if that is in that case report that's locked away in Frankfurt, that there was actually two people that drove by there that night and saw a vehicle pulling out that Johnny had pulled over or had stopped or whatever the reason. There was blue lights going, his vehicle there. The vehicle pulled out, went on toward London. They didn't see the trooper.
Right.
He's over in the ditch. They didn't know that.
Right.
A lot of questions. I was in law enforcement for 40 years. There's nothing. I'm from Pike County. Turned the sheriff in for corruption. August the 7th, 1989. My partner and I, Hatfield, lost our jobs from standing up and doing what was right. Stood up and done what's right many a times in life. I ain't gonna say it don't pay off, because that's whatever you think payoff is, because in character and honesty and feeling good about yourself. But as far as finances, we're in an apartment 40-year career in law enforcement, living in an apartment. Had several jobs throughout the years because I've always said an honest cop can't support a
Yeah.
family on a policeman's pay. And you can't.
Yeah.
I feel sorry for all these people involved. Police officers do make fast decisions, but
Right.
I was a police officer for 40 years and never shot nobody. And just because we're justified and legal doesn't make it right. If there's another way, if there's less lethal that we can use, why didn't those other officers at that door feel a threat as much as that point officer did?
So
I don't know. I wasn't there.
how many times was Mr. Harless? He was hit 5 times.
Well, there's 5 shots. We
Okay,
don't
my
know how
question
many he
is,
was
did
shot.
they all do that, or was it just from the
No,
one?
that was the one.
From the
That was
one?
the one.
Yeah, so,
far as I
okay,
know.
that's a good
And
question.
the way
then.
it sounded coming from the same
Wow.
one firearm. That's just me speculating. Our videos are speculation. Our videos are our opinions. We're retired.
Yeah.
Well, actually, she may be going back to work. I think they're needing some teachers, and so we don't know what we're going to do. Anyway, to the grand jury there, I could be wrong. I'm not always right, guys. I give you my opinion. I speculate and hallucinate and everything else. I don't
He
hallucinate.
doesn't do that. It's silly.
But my opinion is they're going to take it to the grand jury. We're not going to hear nothing about it until it's said and done. So I would ask of that grand jury to be vigilant. Be vigilant. Represent your fellow citizens there in Laurel County and ask questions. Why did this one do that? Why did that one do? Why? Was there anybody that had a body cam or any kind of recording device that nobody's told about? Maybe it's not an official recording device. Maybe a lot of young officers nowadays, they like the excitement. I did it. I did it because I like to have proof and backup of what we dealt with the corrupt. After we started working undercover drug investigations, we found out that we had a prosecutor and a sheriff that wasn't on the up and up.
Yep,
And then we go to 2 FBI agents that
that was worse.
wasn't on the up and up. What's the chances of that? And
That's us.
it gives you and it gives you a sour taste. It gives you tend not to trust people, and it gives you a personality like you see. It gives you an attitude. It gives you but you've got one chance at it. These people, you don't have to be railroaded. It's your grand jury. They're going to show you the evidence, and it's your grand jury. You're going to pick a foreman of the grand jury. He's going to ask. You got to have a leader. You got to have somebody that's not afraid. Even if you come back with no true bill, I don't know that maybe nobody's not responsible. But be able to express that to your fellow citizens and for yourself the rest of your days that we did the right thing. We come back with the right either no true bill or indictments.
Yeah. Mr.
It's hard
Harless
to-
needs justice.
Mr. Harless needs justice. Johnny Edrington needs justice. Talking to a lady today, there's a case up in Floyd County. This lady needs justice.
Yeah.
We get all kinds of calls. Guys, Sheila and I don't. Mr. Ellis in Nelson County, I think it was, the police officer that was shot and killed, not been served,
Oh.
not been solved.
Mm-hmm.
Guys, we're retired. We just do things and trying to do our best to stay occupied
Yeah.
and do good. Sometimes, I'm trying to live. Sheila's always living right. I'm trying to live right.
Everybody stumbles.
And
from
it's
time to
hard.
time.
It's hard to live right because you think, well, if I'm living right, I can't say this. I can't do that. I can't. But we've got to hold each other responsible. We've got to ask questions. If somebody doesn't, you're up, man.
Okay. Thanks for watching, guys. Please like, subscribe, and share. And we'll catch you on the next one. God bless. Bye.